To my future self.
A yellowed envelope addressed in his own handwriting to himself, and he spent decades running from it. Have you ever avoided something you knew would break you? Let us know in the comments below, and stay tuned to the end. This story might just be for you. Gerald Whitman was the kind of mailman small towns bragged about. He remembered birthdays, petted every dog on his route, and carried groceries for elderly widows who lived too far from the market. People waved at him from porches. Kids chased his truck like it was an ice cream van. And yet, for all the smiles he delivered, Gerald himself lived in silence. Retirement was 2 weeks away. His house felt too big and too quiet. And some nights, when he set his mailbag down, it felt like putting down the last piece of himself the world still needed. But no one knew that, not even Gerald. One day, he was sorting a dusty bin of undelivered mail in the back of the post office, a tradition the retiring mail carriers did just to clear out old junk. He reached into the crate and pulled out a single envelope. It was yellow with curled edges, stamped but never sent. The name on the front made him freeze. Gerald Whitman. To be open on your 65th birthday. It was his handwriting from decades ago. Suddenly, his chest tightened as his vision blurred. He slipped the envelope into his jacket before anyone could see. At home, he placed the letter on the table, then moved it to a drawer, then under the mattress, then beneath the rug he hadn't touched in years. He hid it like it was a guilty secret, because opening it meant facing the man he used to be, a man with dreams, promises, and hope. Dreams Gerald wasn't sure he'd lived. Promises he feared he'd broken. Every creak of the house felt like that younger version of himself was whispering, "Why didn't you try harder?" That night, he sat on the edge of his bed, staring at the dark outline of the letter beneath the rug. He whispered, "What did you write, kid? What did you want from me?" He thought of the life he planned when he was 20, how he dreamed of traveling, painting, falling in love, living big and loud and brave. Instead, he became steady for the sake of being reliable, important to everyone but invisible to himself. He wasn't afraid of the letter. He was afraid of the disappointment living inside it, afraid that the boy he once was would look at the man he became and say, "You wasted everything." But on the morning of his 65th birthday, something shifted. He woke up to the quiet hum of winter. Sitting on the floor, he lifted the rug and took out the letter. His hands shook as he tore it open. He braced for paragraphs, or lists of dreams, for anger and blame. But there was only one sentence written in shaky, youthful ink. "Promise me you won't end up alone." That was it. No lectures, no judgment, just a plea from a young man who already feared loneliness, who already worried about vanishing, and who only wanted a future that felt less empty than his present. Gerald pressed the paper to his chest and wept, not because he had failed, but because the boy he once was had known his deepest wound long before it ever formed. That evening, Gerald walked past the community center he'd avoided for years. He always told himself he was too old, too tired, and too out of place. Through the window, he saw people laughing, playing cards, sharing soup, and listening to music. They weren't just alive. They were all living. He hesitated, curling his fingers around the doorknob. For the first time in decades, Gerald opened something that wasn't a letter, but a door. He stepped inside and stayed long enough for someone to say, "Hey, I'm glad you came." And for the first time in his life, he believed it. The hardest truth to face is usually the one you tell yourself. And sometimes, the only promise worth keeping is the one your younger self prayed you wouldn't break. If someone you love needs this reminder, share this story with them. Leave a like and subscribe for more stories like this, and turn on notifications so you never miss the latest episode. This was a True Humanity Chronicle. Stories that remind us what it really means to be human.